Hello there, this video is intended for my friends Melissa and Drimley to help them in the quest of playing Mesmer in open world PvE. Now, Melissa and I had a fairly long conversation about Mesmers and builds and what to run and what not to run, and so I figured I'd try to make a quick video to explain some details about how to play a Mesmer in this particular environment. Now, I don't have a whole lot of time to do this, otherwise the video is going to take a million years to upload, and I want to play Heart of Thorns as much as possible. So, a quick rundown of the build. We're going to use Sword and Sword. We are going to use Great Sword. In some circumstances, like close quarter circumstances, where Great Sword's auto attack advantage will not come into play, we are going to use probably Sword and Focus or Sword and Pistol. Make sure nothing's attacking me. There's somebody else over here, you might lure an enemy or something. Anyways, for our utilities, we have Signet of the Ether, Feedback, Blink, Signet of Inspiration, Time Warp. A lot of these can be swapped depending on the circumstance. This is what I generally run. A lot of times I'll swap Feedback for Null Field if conditions are a problem or if enemies have a lot of boons. Blink, I almost always have stapled to my bar. It's a great ability. Signet of Inspiration is great just for getting around in PvE because it gives you swiftness. 5 seconds of swiftness every 10 seconds. Your elite can be swapped to different things. I find Time Warp to be the most useful out of all of them, but there are uses for all three of your Mesmer skills, elite skills. So specializations, we have Dueling for critical hits and evasion, Domination for damage and some slight interrupts, and Illusions to help augment our Shatter skills and our ability to generate clones and phantasms quickly. Quick rundown with Dueling, we've got Gain Vigor on critical hits, we've got Bleeding on critical hits. Not going to do a whole lot for our build because it's power focused, but it's there. We've got getting Fury by striking an enemy below 75% health. Amazing trait here, Master Fencer. As for our major traits, we want to use Phantasmal Fury for more damage of our phantasms. We want to use Fencer's Finesse for recharge reduction on sword skills. Obviously, since we have 5 sword skills, we take full advantage of that one trait. And it also increases our damage by giving us Ferocity whenever you or a sword phantasm or a sword clone attacks. It also applies to spears if you're doing underwater combat. Here, Deceptive Evasion creates clones. This is great for generating shatters. We're kind of using a hybrid shatter and phantasm build to get through PvE content quickly in the open world. You can also use harmonious mantras if you like using mantras. Personally, I find them a bit clunky, and Sword Mesmer does require a lot of concentration, and using mantras it doesn't really do it too well for me. Domination, we're going to get vulnerability when interrupting enemies. Interrupts are kind of tricky in PvE. Some enemies are outright immune to it. This is a big problem in Heart of Thorns, unfortunately, but we're just going to have to deal with it. We also get vulnerability from dazing a foe, which can come from effects like Counterblade from Illusionary Riposte, or Diversion, the Shatter, and a couple other abilities that Mesmers have. And next we have Fragility. It gives you more damage if a foe has vulnerability on them. It goes up to 12.5% with 25 stacks of vulnerability on a foe, which is the max. For our major traits, we want Empowered Illusions, deal more damage. Illusions deal more damage, 15% is really nice. Blurred Inscriptions to help trigger our Signet of the Ether, gives us Distortion, and it removes a condition and reduces the recharge of our Signet, which is really great. You can also swap this for Ether Feast, which is a really great general heal. Signet of the Ether is a little more conditional, but I prefer using this one. If you want to go for Ether Feast instead, I would get Furious Interruption, gain quickness when you interrupt a foe, and in some circumstances maybe Shattered Concentration if enemy boons are a problem, but they're usually not in PvE. Sorry if I'm speaking really fast. I want this video to be as compressed and tight as possible. For Domination, we generally want Imagined Burden. If you use a Great Sword, you absolutely want this skill. It gives you Might on your auto attack, and your Great Sword clones auto attack cripples your enemy with your 2 to 5 skills, and also reduces your recharge of your 2 to 5 skills. Obviously, that also increases or decreases the recharge of your Berserker as well. These two, Mental Anguish and Power Block, are pretty conditional. If you're going melee strictly, I would use either one of those depending on the circumstances. This one's best for raw damage, this one's best for damage on interrupts, so it depends on how you want to go with your build. Like I said, though, interrupts aren't really all that effective in PvE, unfortunately, due to a number of restrictions. Illusions here, that's based upon augmenting your shatters and illusions. These two, Illusionary Retribution and Master of Misdirection, involve confusion, which unfortunately we're not going to be taking full advantage of, but Master of Misdirection decreases your Shatter recharges by 33%, which is pretty massive, especially since skills like Diversion and Distortion, when used at the right moment, can be real game changers. Here in the center, we have Illusionist Celerity, reduces recharge reduction of 20% on any illusion summoning skill. So, Mirror Blade, Phantasmal Berserker. Here with Sword, you have 3 illusions, so that couples really well with your reduced recharge through Fencer's Finesse. As for optional traits, major traits, we want to go with Persistence of Memory for getting our recharges even lower on Phantasms. We want to use Shattered Strength just for the fact that we're going to be shattering our illusions pretty quickly to kill enemies as fast as possible and reduce our recharges and everything, so we can be refreshed for the next battle, and with Shattered Strength even potentially empowered for the next battle. Unfortunately, these two Grandmaster traits are condition-based, so what we want to do is go for Master of Fragmentation. This is a great quality of life upgrade, and as you can see, it increases the status of all of your Shatter skills. Alright, next we're going to move on to equipment really quick. Open World PvE, I use straight up Berserkers in the core game. Heart of Thorns, I typically use, where is that? A Power of Toughness Vitality Soldier's Gear for more survivability. As for runes, I use Runes of the Eagle to give me more precision and ferocity, which couples really well when reflecting projectiles with feedback, and gives me a damage boost against targets below 50% health, which is really great, especially against legendary enemies and world bosses and champions and the like. As for runes or sigils on our weapons, it's kind of a toss-up. I like the ones that just deal straight-up damage and give me a little more critical chance. Critical chance is very important on a Mesmer, especially for survivability by getting Vigor continuously. As for the Great Sword, there's probably a lot to read here because it's an Ascended one, but I use Air Sigil. You could use Sigil of Force, that'll deal a lot more damage, but I kind of just use this for flavor. Superior Sigil of Energy is very important because if you need to go into range, presumably you're going to be in a sticky situation. This gives you half of your endurance back when you swap to that weapon while you're in combat, so that gives you a very nice defensive edge. And when you couple that with your Great Sword traits, you can keep enemies away from you for quite a while. Okay, now that we have gone through our equipment and our traits really quick and our skills, I am going to do some very simple rotations. Okay, so what we're going to do now is a Shatter Burst using Phantasmal Berserker, Mind Stab, Mirror Blade, and Mind Rack. So what we're going to do is select our enemy here, use Berserker, use Mirror Blade, use Mind Rack, dodge into your enemy, and then press Mind Rack. Oh, sorry, I think I said Mind Rack. I meant Mind Stab for this one. So as you can tell, this is capable of killing enemies really fast and recharging your skills pretty fast. So let's try that again. In fact, actually, you really don't even need Mind Stab for majority of the content, but it's certainly helpful. I really wish I could find a more difficult opponent. I need to find a veteran. I will try to be right back. Okay, so I've moved into a completely different environment, Silver Waste, for the purpose of this demonstration. So I've got this veteran targeted, and he has a pretty good toughness score. So again, Berserker, Mirror Blade, Mind Stab, Dodge, and then Mind Rack. Switch to Sword, use your Blurred Frenzy for defense, use your Illusionary Riposte for a counterattack. Swap here. You can attack for a little bit, use Mind Rack again, dodge, use your Phantasm. Actually, I could have used the Phantasm a little earlier, but I just didn't, so. important thing with this build, because of persistence of memory, which is our reduction on Shatter skills, cooldown, Phantasm cooldowns. It's 2 in the morning. Um, because of this, we want to make sure to always shatter at the end of an encounter. So something like this: swap, blurred frenzy, shatter, and then counterblade. And I'm not going to bother, he's going to take way too long to kill. I'm going to wait for this veteran to respawn, and then I will come right back. Oh, let's blink away from this guy real quick. Okay, so the veteran Earth Elemental has respawned. Again, the combo is Phantasmal Berserker, Mirror Blade, Mind Stab, dodge roll into him, and then Mind Rack. And we have a bystander here, but it'll be okay. Dodge like that, switch to your sword, use Blurred Frenzy, use Illusionary Riposte, you will counter with that, dodge, summon a Phantasmal Swordsman. Okay, Mind Rack is coming back up, we will use that. We'll use this, swap, we will use Blurred Frenzy, we will interrupt him real quick. Didn't go as well as I'd hoped. Okay, there we go, that interrupt worked. Swordsman again, swap again for extra shattering, and then shatter. So hopefully that kind of gives you a general rundown. And let me do a different, let me do another sword rotation real quick on a generic Earth Elemental. Alright, so I'm going to start with our Swordsman. I'm going to use Swap, teleport to him, Blurred Frenzy for defense. We don't need it now because he's attacking our Phantasms. Dodge roll, Shatter. So there you go, that's a pretty simple rotation. And if I have time left of the video, hopefully I will, I want to show another special demonstration for you, and we will cut to that right now. So. Okay, well, that was a very general overview of Mesmer and what you can do with this particular build. As you can tell, it's pretty powerful, has some good survivability, active defenses, and some nice burst damage. I had to cut the demonstration a little short because the labyrinthine horror caught up to me, and I had to exit as soon as possible. By the way, if you have a chance, go to the Guild Wars 2 wiki and look up Ash Legion spike hits. They are an incredibly useful item for getting out of sticky situations. Anyways, so there is my Mesmer video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if either of you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me. I'm always here to help you guys. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in game.